Hey, you like cars? Yes, I know. It's been like 2 weeks. Okay, I was shooting a lot of other content and other things, but we're back. Okay, so CarQuicks. Yeah. I know you're anticipating it. Episode 43. Gonna get back to it. So, hope y'all been doing good. This little break I had real quick while I was busy shooting other content and coming up with new ideas and things of that nature. So, hope you're doing well. Because we're back to what really matters, and that's the car news, and that's this podcast, and that's the things that I love and things I like to talk about. So we're going to get cracking and get right to it. Some news is, this is the state of time when a lot of the news is kind of low as far as what they're talking about and what they're doing, but we're still going to get to what we want to. Something that is kind of refreshed, and if you saw my video on YouTube about the Houston Auto Show, we're going to have another episode of the podcast about that. That is, let's just talk about it. So, one of my last episodes was episode 42. I spoke about me wanting to increase this podcast to like 2 episodes a week. And I kind of sat around, I was thinking about it. I said, well, you can't really do much of the car news unless it's a jam-packed week, because mostly you're going to have a lot of car culture stuff. You're going to have a little bit of car news, and it's usually going to depend on the season and time that it is. So I was trying to figure out what could I do in the interim and ideas I have. And I figured out what it is, right? And it's always been kind of sitting in front of me. So there's going to be 2 episodes a week. And that's going to start this week. This first one I'm doing, episode 43 that you're listening to right now. This is going to be more of the car news, whatever is happening in the car news sphere. It might shorten some of these podcasts down from maybe 45 minutes to an hour down to a concise 30 minutes or so. I don't have a timer in here, okay? So if you're ever wondering if I've just been looking at a clock somewhere where it tells me how much time I spend talking and yapping on the microphone, I don't, okay? So you're just gonna have to bear with me and have fun. And if you don't like it, well, I don't know what to tell you. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a podcast about car news, and then I'm going to do one about a subject matter that I just find that I want to talk about, whether it's car shows, whether it's car culture, whether it's, ideologies in the car industry or the automotive industry and things that are happening, and what does it say for this and what does it say for that, and just things that I think in my head and I might talk with other car people about when I'm sitting at a, Catalina Coffee car meetup or coffee and cars, and just, when you're just talking cars with people, you get into more expounded topics other than what do you drive, right? And I'll use some of those podcasts to talk about what I do drive and maybe some important things that are happening. So that is how I'm going to pace the podcast. Some of it might talk about what I'm doing on the YouTube channel for video content. Some of it might talk about the news, but I'm going to use 2 for that reason. So look forward to that. More of my voice, more of my face on the interwebs. And hey, listen, enjoy it while you can, because we're not here for a long time. We're only here for a short time. Make it a good time. Now back to the car news. So this week or last week or some point in time, Ford announced their updated, redesigned, a little bit refreshed, maybe a facelift is a better explanation to use, for the 2025 Ford Explorer. Now, I was at the Houston Auto Show, and they had the Ford Explorer there, but it was not this one, clearly. And I'm going to, back to what I said before, I'm going to speak more about that auto show in the second podcast episode of this week, where I talk about certain topics, like I said. So anyways, I digress. So the 2025 Ford Explorer got released. Its starting price is $41,220, which is up $2,120 from the year before. And yeah, listen, anybody that knows what's going on with car prices, they're just going up and up. They're just getting higher. They're getting more expensive every day, and there's no end in sight. Things are not getting cheaper, especially in the SUV range. If you need a family SUV and you're looking for something of a certain size, then you're definitely going to be stuck paying a certain price point, which is right now high 30s, 40s base. Add any options, any pizzazz, any sauce, and you're looking at 45. the bare minimums around these big SUVs. Now, here's what Ford did. The biggest changes happened on the interior. So they included now, instead of having multiple interior designs, because the old Ford Explorer had that big tablet-sized screen, and if you didn't opt for that, you got a different dashboard layout. They all got the same one now. So you get a 13.2-inch Google-powered now infotainment system with the center dash, screen, and then the driver gets a 12.3-inch dash. I mean, cue up the Future and Drake song, Digital Dash, because that's the going thing now. Like, to not have a digital dash is probably going to be the new cool thing now. It's probably going to be, hey, look, we got analog gauges and we're going to pay extra for them because that's just what society does. New, old is new. We already know. So it now runs it's powered by Google, not just Android, but they're using their entire system to run their infotainment system. The main screen now can be used a lot more than just mirroring your phone. See, before, when you had wireless Apple CarPlay, it would just show your phone, and then when you take it off, it would show whatever the random Ford infotainment system software would be. But this time, you can now run web apps. You can surf the web. You can watch YouTube. You can watch Prime Video. And you can play games on this now. Now, I know this isn't something new because the likes of Tesla and the other electric car companies have made their infotainment systems basically a rolling TV computer screen. So this isn't anything new if you've been paying attention to that. But on a Ford Explorer, when you park the car or park the SUV, you can pair a PS5 controller by Bluetooth to the system and get down on whatever random racing game or something's on there. Because now that it's powered by Google, I'm assuming that the Play Store is available or some form or fashion of it. And because it's Bluetooth, I'm expecting that PS5 controller connected by, I'm sure you can use an Xbox One or any other random controller from any other company that's available. Razer, 8-bit, whatever it may be. I'm sure you can connect it to the system and have an Avid with playing games. So you have this new infotainment system. It all runs on 5G. Obviously, you're going to have to pay for that wireless service, but it does more than just mirror your phone. The powertrains are the same. Standard 2.3-liter Turbo 4 makes 300 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque. If you move up to the big boy ST performance model or the Platinum, you get the 400 horsepower, 415 foot-pounds of torque twin-turbo V6. 10-speed automatic, Ford said, has been retuned for smoother engagement. I don't know what that means other than probably computer calibration to say, don't shift so hard. Maybe more transmission fluid. We'll see. The SUV is in rear-wheel drive standard. All-wheel drive is available across all the models. The newest color is what you see floating on the screen if you're watching the video, and that is this vapor blue color, which looks blue, but I mean, they're trying to make it look sleeker. Normally Ford Explorers, for me, I call them cop cars. I'm like, listen, you bought the cop car when people buy a Ford Explorer, but they're trying to make it better. The front grille and the outside has been changed. The grille's bigger, which big grills is what we do now, okay? If you're looking for the small, sleek, understated front end of cars, now when you look in your rear view, you're probably staring at somebody's grill or their intake because that's just how big these front ends are. The headlight's a little bit sleeker. Now in the rear, there's a big Ford, Explorer badge on the back of it. So it looks clean. It's cleaned up. It looks better than the year prior. I do like the way the front grille looks for an SUV. I mean, a lot of times when you have these SUVs, you have to, if you're into design and things looking a certain way, looking good, looking sexy, most of the time they ain't gonna come this way. This is gonna look rugged, butch, aggressive. That's the way these cars and these SUVs look now. So you can't really approach it saying, like, I'm wanting this thing to look really nice and handsome and beautiful. We're not beautiful on a Ford Explorer is not a term I would use. Blue Cruise, which is their version of, I would say, like GM Super Cruise, where you can cruise on highways hands-free, is included on the ST line and the Platinum line for free for 90 days. After that, you got to pay $700 a year for the first year, and then it goes up to $800 every year after that. So do the math. That's a lot of money for your SUV to essentially let you drive a little bit of hands-free on specific highways. Is it worth it? Really depends on where you live. If you live out in the country, you do a lot of road trips, it probably has some value. But it is a cool feature because when it is operating on those specific highways, it has been read and known of what I read to do even better than some of the things that Teslas and electric cars do with their automated systems as well. There isn't many trim lines. They trim that down. No pun intended. There used to be a King Ranch. There used to be a Timberline. There used to be XLT. Those are gone. The trim lines they have now are called Active, which is a base one. ST line, which I'm assuming is an appearance package on the base one to look like an ST. But then there's an ST performance one, and then there's a Platinum. There is rumor of a trimmer package, which if you watch my video on YouTube with the auto show, you know that a lot of the SUVs now and the trucks all have some type of off-road appearance package. I put it in air quotes because it's not a TRD Pro and it's not a Raptor. So it's not like they have true off-road pre-runner desert bombing suspension. They have something that's maybe raised a little bit, some more mud guards, a little bit of rock panel guards, little kick guards they have on it, things in the trunk, just an appearance of it. Like, it got a little bit more utility for the outside things if you're outdoor overlander, but it's not like a massive leap into the realm of off-road trucks. And that's what Ford is doing. So they're kind of running through their lineup. I don't know what comes next. I mean, obviously they have the Ford Lightning. Are they going to ever make an EV Ford Explorer? Given the market for EVs and SUVs that are EVs and some of the dialing back that they've all been doing, I suspect that if Ford is thinking about an electric version of the Explorer, they're tabling that for a while until they either find some more profits in the Ford Lightning, introduce maybe a smaller EV SUV or smaller EV truck or something. But given the fact that they updated this 2025 Ford Explorer and kept it pretty much in line with an ICE engine, it tells you that they're putting their money on that for now until we get to a more even keel, or maybe we get to a market shift more to the EV side of things, and they might introduce that as well. Speaking of the EVs, which, listen, if you're a car person, I mean, EVs is what it is, right? I'm not a person that hates EVs at all. I think they are exciting. I think it's very cool. I think they have a place. I do not think that they are the end-all, be-all. I think that they have a purpose as an option alongside of what we're already doing now and what the future may hold. But getting back to that, the Dodge Charger Daytona that I talked about in the last podcast, where they showed the spy shots of the two-door, which I think looks good. I know there are a lot of people that are like, I don't want nothing to do with this. But there is an ICE version with the Hurricane Inline 6 that's supposedly coming. And so I said there's a lot of potential there. But the production version of the EV is coming out March 5th. Executive at Dodge at some show or some event said that they are gearing up to show off the production version, which they already showed the spy shots, and it pretty much looks dead on like the concept. Little tweaks here and there. Obviously, maybe not as wide, maybe not as low greenhouse as far as how the roof line is, but ultimately we're looking at the same thing. So they said that is coming out next, and it's coming out March 5th, and it's going to be, and I'm excited. Like, I know this isn't for the V8 muscle, you know, it's not normally in the bag of like being excited, but I'm excited to see what they do, even with the emulating of the V8 sound with the trumpet style mechanism that they're doing, that they said got some 126 dB volume level exhaust, you know, on the car. Now, I know last time I was poking fun at Borla making some type of V8 aftermarket speaker system for the Mustang Mach-E. At least Dodge is integrating this inside of the car, and they're trying to do something different other than speakers. What they said is that they're using some mechanism that's almost like an instrument pumping air to emulate some type of sound. What they showed a couple months back, it might have been a year now, when they first showed the Dodge Charger EV, it sounded like a loud cat purring, which might be what they wanted. I don't know if it being a snarl like a V8, it wasn't a roar, it was a very loud purr. So, I mean, we'll see what we get when it happens. Some other news, but this is more so in the racing realm of things, which is interesting. But I follow some racing in my spare time. I'm not going to say I'm a diehard. I like watching a lot of it. So I kind of spread my wings wherever I can. But I do like watching a lot of certain aspects of F1 racing. And one of my favorite drivers I follow for, I mean, it's been 10 plus years now, is Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton is going to go drive for a manufacturer that I put as my favorite supercar brand, and that's Ferrari. I have used to work for them. That's another story. And for me, if it was pick a supercar brand, pick one, it's Ferrari. It always has been. I don't care about whatever random politics they have for buying their cars because I ain't got the money for it anyways. So it don't matter. That's just dream car talk, okay? Give me a 360 Modena. Give me a 458, Speciale. Give me one of those. Or give me a 550 Maranello with the gated shifter. Mwah. Delicious. But he's going to go drive for them in 2025 after this F1 season with Mercedes for 2024. And that's a massive deal because, one, he hasn't changed a company in over 13, 14 years. He's been driving for Mercedes, won a bunch of championships with them. So we're going to see what happens next. But to me, that is exciting news. Not most people, but in the realm of the F1 world and what people are saying, some are excited, some are not, some are indifferent to it. It just kind of depends on however you feel about it. I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens this season. We'll see what happens next season. I do know that Drive to Survive on Netflix is going to be super spicy after this season and the next season. So I'm more than anticipating what's going to go on. Other news, if you remember couple weeks back, it might be like a month now, that soldier that had gotten played by that Dodge dealership when they sold his Demon 170 Challenger and then tried to cover it up and sold another one and then get another one and then Dodge heard about it and they blessed this soldier with another allocation at MSRP. That particular Dodge Demon 170 that was sold to another person, that person sold it, gave it back, and now it's going up for auction, which is a crazy into this entire debacle of dealerships doing all types of BS. And that's where, when I talk about companies like Fisker saying, I want to open up dealerships to get our cars in front of more people, I'm like, dog, at the pace we're going right now, these dealerships are on the most borrowed time. Nobody even wants to be involved. They're doing too much. They're doing things that nobody cares about. They're doing things that are sly, backhanded, bad deals. It's just not, at some point in time, maybe, but the powers that control this industry of automotive dealerships have a lot of money and influence. But there may be a time when we can get to the point of removing these and maybe having a better connection with the people that actually paying money for these cars. Alongside that, Audi revealed, another particular dream car. And this is more of like possibly an obtainable car as I move along in my life and the things that I do. They release the this is super limited, an Audi RS6 GT. This wagon is already top tier. This one in particular steps it up to a spot that I didn't even know that they would do. So here's the thing. Only 85 are coming. It's the same RS6, twin turbo, V8, 630 horsepower. Just look at this picture. You see what it looks like. It looks like the IM, because the IM, it looks like it's a certain livery that they have used before. And I'm looking at the picture right now to try to figure out where it come from because I've seen it before. But the main thing is that the whole body's been redesigned as far as how it looks. There's front splitters, there's not splitters, but the spoiler kit on it, different wheels. It's made out of carbon fiber. The hood, fenders, the bumpers have changed. There's real spoiler in the rear's changed. It's equipped with carbon ceramic brakes. It has coilover suspension now that is manually adjustable on this wagon. This is purebred performance, and only 85 are coming to the US. So while this would be a dream, whoever's on the list for getting one of these, I'm sure this will cost north of $150,000. I don't even know if they have the price on this right now. Let me see if they said. Nope, no price on this. I'm looking at what they said about the press release on this, but there is no price listed. But I can assure you, if there's only 85 coming and it looks like this, just go ahead and add $50,000 to whatever numbers in your head, because that's probably what you're going to pay, especially with the dealership markets that I just spoke about. Speaking about people driving cars and things like that, so the Apple Vision Pro came out, right? And I know you're wondering, why are we talking about the Apple Vision Pro if this is a car podcast, not a tech podcast? Well, unfortunately, in the society we now live in, that we are all occupying, we have a set of people that be doing things that are beyond idiotic. And somebody donned the Apple Vision Pros on their head and decided that they're going to go ahead and drive their Tesla hands-free in, auto mode, self-driving, if you so to speak, quotation self-driving, because it's not fully self-driving, but anyways. And they were caught and recorded themselves as they were driving with their hands in the air, moving windows and screens and typing as they were driving a car. And we shouldn't really be surprised, because at the stage we're at now in society, a level of idiocy has been permeating all like-minded and well-thought decision makers, because these people, clearly decision making isn't on their agenda for them to do wisely. It's just not on it. So this guy got arrested, as he should, because this is dumb. But you've already seen the gentleman in California who was caught driving in the backseat with his toes on the steering wheel to keep the system from saying, put your hands on the wheel. And he did that multiple times to the point they suspended his whole license. So listen, if you see somebody driving with the Apple Vision Pro on their forehead, just jump over 3 lanes, because things might get a little sketchy. And at the rate we're going, it's going to continue to get sketchy. Now, other things that have happened in my world, that is the GR Corolla. Now, like I said, it's short on news right now because this week is a short news week. Some of the stuff is more like rumors, like the Red Bull Racing gentleman is being investigated for improper behavior. I don't care. Listen, keep your hands to yourself. I mean, these folks, it's always got to be something. Who knows if it's true or not? Allegations. I don't care. But the GR Corolla, I changed some more parts on it. Now, I would have the box on me, but I left it, and I don't have it on me. But RacerX, I'm going to throw it up on the screen. They sent out the short shifter bush eating kit for the GR Corolla that I swapped again. And if you've been paying attention to all my updates on the GR Corolla, you know that I swapped this out again before. So this is about the 3rd time I've done this. Now, it's research, right? I am CEO of Why Not Research, WNR Incorporated. And so I changed out the part again to see how it affects the engagement of the shifting when you're at high speed and when you're aggressively driving, and how it feels on the car itself. And I had done this before with the 2J Racing shifting bushing kit. Then I had the short shifter from Forged Motorsports. Then I swapped the bushings back to DC Sports, who had a certain bearing on their bushing that helped smooth out the engagement, from being as notchy as it was with the Forged Motorsports short shifter. Then now I switched to RacerX, who uses a spherical bearing inside of the bushing alongside with a complete redesigned short shifter that changes where the linkage is and where they're mounted and how they're mounted to basically an aluminum piece that bolts to where the original linkage from the transmission goes. I know this sounds highly complicated, but it's fairly simple. But anyways, why did I do it? What was the end result? The end result was smoother, more direct, almost removes all the notchiness of how it was shifting. It might have a slight bit of it, but the engagement now was just direct. This is as smooth. This is it, right? There's no other short shifter bearing kits for me to get or to try. I mean, not to say another company won't try to make something, but this is the end of the road, at least for me. For CarQuicks, for my car, for the GR Corolla, for the parts I've tried, this is the end of the road. Now, what is next? What could I do next? I've avoided this not because I haven't wanted to do it. I just wanted to go a different route. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who has been a very good gentleman of wise knowledge when it comes to this platform, we've talked about other short shifters from companies like Ralco and things of that nature that you can buy, or Fidanza that function and feel like these other units from a companies called CAE and CoolerWorks. They make these much more, and you'll see it, elaborate, self-centering shifter assemblies that essentially that's where I'm going. I know I've talked about doing something else. I've even talked to my friend. He's given me all the details and said, you can try this. It's even more inexpensive, but I cannot shake wanting this shifter in the car. I've seen his. It sits up much higher. It's very mechanical. This is where I'm headed. When am I headed that way? I don't know. I'm trying to work out something with a good gentleman over at Penguin Garage who I would like to do some content for along with one of these shifters, and we may be able to work something out. So that might be coming sooner than you think, because I'm in the space now of just asking people to say, hey, let's collab and do something. Can I get a part to show a video? Can I talk about it on the podcast? Can I give y'all a shout out? Because one thing I've known from doing this podcast and doing videos is that I've gotten a response back from people. And I thought that maybe my small, audience that I have right now and that small amount of people I have compared to the giants, that they wouldn't talk to me. But that isn't the case. Far from it. I have been getting very good responses to things I've wanted to do and things I wanted to collaborate with. And so I'm going to keep it going. And that's it. Listen, this is truly a short one. We're probably like under 30 minutes. But like I said, I want to give you some quick news I've talked about. And the next episode is going to be me speaking about a certain subject matter. So stay tuned for that. And actually, the subject matter is the Houston Auto Show. Now, as you know, I was there a couple weeks ago. It was probably 2 weekends ago that the Houston Auto Show was there. I got a press pass. I got early access. I reviewed and talked about every single manufacturer there. But I have my opinions on that show and what can be done better and what we should be doing better. So that's the next episode. So see that in a couple days. I'm going to shoot that. In the meantime, in between time, do as you wish and do as you may. It's Cameron Biggs, your host. And as always,